Okay, 2015 GMC Sierra 1500. This is the 5.3 liter. I believe they call this an L83. Had to put new fuel injectors in this thing. There was some debate online, some of the forums about where the fuel rails are. And a couple things about the fuel rails that you need to know. So you know, they are under this manifold. So this whole thing needs to come out. This top piece is a plastic cover. I made the mistake of trying to remove that first. It does not come out because this lip up under the front there, you can't pull it off. There's no way to get it back over the manifold and pull it out. So just leave this on. The video talks about the access holes along there so you can get to it. You have to take out this front piece here. I was calling it an air cleaner. Air cleaner is actually in here. This is like a plenum or something that goes on to the throttle body. You've got a connection here, connection here. These are easy. These gray tabs, you just pinch them in. There's a bottom piece. See how it lifts up? Just push that bottom piece up and pull out, and they pop right off. So those come out pretty simple. The fuel rails, once you get the fuel rails out, the tubes that the fuel injectors are hooked to, so there's some talk about those need to be replaced. They don't need to be replaced. They're solid metal tubes. The injector slide in and out of them, fine. There's nothing that comes out or goes bad on them. The gaskets are on the injectors, so you don't need to replace those at all. Those are fine the way they are. So just leave the fuel rails, the fuel tubes that the injector's hooked to, put them all back together, reinstall them into under your manifold, and you'll be good to go. What else? There's a couple things I mentioned in the video I think I had to correct myself on. Anyways, that's how it looks all assembled. So when you take this plenum piece out, you just loosen this, and then on the throttle body, same thing, loosen that right there, that screw, if you can see that. And then those two connectors on the left, this just pulls off, pull straight back and pull to the side on this one, and this whole piece lifts out. You'll see where the connections are on the actual manifold that you need to pull out of there to pull it out. There's like 3 or 4 connections. Left side there's really none. There's an electrical connection on the front left here, and then there's some other under who you really can't see now, but in the video I kind of show them to you. You'll need a quick disconnect tool for your fuel line. I showed you in the video where I disconnected mine, because you have to lift that right side bank number 1 fuel rail out of there. That one fuel line's over the top of it, so you need to take that out so you can get to it. It's real simple. It's a $7 tool at auto parts store. You can probably find them cheaper, between $7 and $15, depending on how elaborate a tool you want. I just got one. It's not the, I think it's the 3/8 maybe. There's 2 sizes on it, but the one size was the one you needed for the Chevy GM stuff, so it worked fine. I pulled one thing I did not do that you want to do, remember this, pull your let's see if I can get this open. Pull your fuel pump fuse out. So my truck is this black one in the corner right here. It's 9812 GM. That is your fuel pump fuse. Pull that out before you do anything. Take your gas cap off, start your truck, and let it run out of gas. That will depressurize your fuel system. You want to do that. Trust me, because if you don't, you're going to get fuel squirting you when you go to take out that, you go to disconnect any of your fuel stuff, it's going to squirt. I was able to cover it with the rag, made it work. So but just to save yourself the hassle, just make sure you do that. Depressurize it. What else? So tools, just you need a number 10 millimeter socket, you need a 13 millimeter socket. I think I use the 11/16 to take the fuel plumbing out. Those bigger hex bolts on the fuel plumbing in there. 11/16 worked fine. What else? Let's see. Yeah, so 10, 11. You need a flathead screwdriver. Probably some needle nose pliers are handy for a couple things. That's the main things. It's really not that hard. Some guy put on that he did his in 2 hours, and he's never done it before, and he has no mechanical ability. I have to call BS on that, because this took me several hours, a couple hours the first night, getting everything apart, getting the manifold out, and then the next day doing the fuel rails. So it's impossible to do this in 2 hours unless you're Superman. So I would plan on 8 to 10 hours because it does take some time. Got the fuel rails, the fuel injectors on eBay. They were $109 for all 8 of them. They were remanufactured, whatever that means. They look new, all the gaskets look new. They went in real slick. So my truck has got some issues. It was hesitating so bad during acceleration, it felt like it was barely running. I'm surprised I didn't get to check the engine light. That's gone now. It's idle smooth now, accelerates smooth now, but when I'm coasting at say 50, 60 miles an hour and I go to accelerate, it bucks a little bit. So there's still an issue, and I think it's in the transmission. You gotta have that. Now that the injectors are working correctly, I need to take it back to the dealership and have them re-diagnose the truck and see what's going on. It's pretty upsetting to know that you have to pay this kind of money for these trucks and that they have these kind of problems. It's low miles. So we'll have them take a look at it, but definitely the injectors made a big difference in how it runs, running a lot better. So good weekend project. A little bit of elbow grease, not super easy but not super difficult. You got a couple bolts that are hard to access. Be careful with your intakes when you're taking stuff out, you don't drop anything in them. Other than that, pretty straightforward replacement. I'm going to be posting this in the GM forums to help people, because there is no videos on this. There's nothing that shows the fuel rails. There's nothing that shows what you're looking at when you get stuff apart, how to do any of it. So hoping this video will help everybody. So just going to add this to the front of my video so you guys have some insight. I used some wrong verbiage here and there, but I wasn't really paying attention. I was kind of wrapped up in the process there. So don't hold me to everything I said, calling that front piece an air cleaner, which it's not. What else? I think that about covers it. So don't buy the injectors at the dealership. They're like $160 a piece. So it would cost you over $1,000 just for parts. That's probably why they want $2,000 to install all 8, $2,000 plus. They quoted me $1,000 for just 2. So I decided to replace all 8 while I'm in there, so have it apart. Not a big deal, but I've done the process now. So if you have any questions, this will be in the forums. Feel free to ask. Okay, this is a manifold for a 2015 GMC Sierra 1500 4-wheel drive. As you can see, there's been a debate about whether or not you have to take the manifold off. To get to the injectors, you do. As you can see, they're underneath. So that's a little bit tricky to get off. Basically, you pull the air cleaner off. It's this guy right here. There's a connection there and there, and it just pulls right out. And the manifold, this plastic shield, don't try to take it off. It's impossible. Just leave it on, because they give you these insert holes here to get access bolts. I thought I had 4 on each side. There's, on the left side, if you're facing the front of the truck, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought I was done, but no, they snuck a 5th one in the back corner here, which is a little tricky to get to. It's just about a 4.5, 5-inch extension, 10 millimeter, and you'll get right to them. They're not horribly tight. The other side has 4 on the main, and then it's got its 5th one right here up front. I'm missing a bolt too. Let's see if I can find that. Oh, no, it's sitting on the truck. Anyway, so leave the plastic. I tried to take this off. It's impossible to get off because that shield back there, there's no way to pull this. See how big this lip is right here? You can't lift this up and over the manifold because of that lip right there. This lip right there on the back. That goes back there like 8-10 inches underneath. You can't lift that plastic shield up over the manifold, so just leave it on, pull it out, tape up your intake so you don't drop anything in it. There's a piece of foam. Once you pull the manifold out, this foam here is a piece of foam, this thick foam is actually covering, this is covering, this goes in here, it covers all the injectors. You lift that up and underneath is all your goodness there. I wouldn't say it's actually goodness because it's a pain in the you-know-what to get to. And then, I don't know, my video just stopped, but anyways, just a few connections on the front of the manifold to pull off. There's this one and a smaller one. It's under here somewhere. I pull your vacuum line off your manifold on the side. The left side, there's nothing to unhook. It's all just unbolt it. Once it's on the bolt of the manifold, just lifts right up and pulls straight out. So got that far. So I'll be doing the fuel rails next, and I'll update you from that point. Thanks. Okay, boy, this is fun. So, as you can see along the left edge, there are those 4 holes. I managed to get the injectors pulled out. You can see that's a high pressure fuel pump right there. There, I disconnected the plumbing from that. Had to move that so I'll be able to get that rail out. That one's still in. I've not pulled that one out yet. As usual, the little pain in the you-know-what connectors here, all kinds of little weird tabs and push buttons you got to figure out how to get. They're all crammed way back in the back there so you can't see them. Makes it even more challenging. But good news is injectors are off. As you can see, zoom back out here. These are the 4 injectors. They look a little dirty. They're probably just need a cleaning for one. But so this one here, this number 2. This is one of the ones that they say is bad. I marked them all just in case. I gotta put them back in. If the injectors I have don't work, which I hope they work. But not too hard. Those plumbing lines, they just, like any kind of compression fitting, they just unscrew, pull out, gets everything out of your way and off the rails. I think I used what did I use for those? Like a 9/16. It's a little bit big. 11/16, maybe? Yeah, 11/16 is what I used to loosen those connections. It's probably a metric, but it was tight enough it didn't slip or anything. Anyways, first bank off, I'm going to pull these guys off and change them all. The ones I've got, the ones that came with the kit that I bought online. Look like this. They've all been re-gasketed. I don't know if that's a word or not. But you can see, they're all clean, like new. Praying that these work. If they don't, I'm kind of screwed. I'm going to have to take it all back apart. But the compatibility chart shows these work. We're going to find out. So that's those. We'll get those put in, and when I get those all mounted up, back in, I'll throw them back in there. Get this thing off. Just having a hard time getting the fuel line off of that connection right there. That one was fighting me, so I ended up taking the one off of the bottom right there. That one came off okay. There's a little bracket as well that mounts the edge of the motor there. You can undo then this whole, that whole piece there. This whole piece right there. Right there. That moves out of the way so you can get your last rail off. So I'm going to pull those off. That is a, let's see. Okay. Those are 13 millimeter. There were fuel rail bolts that hold on the fuel rails there. Those are 13s. So you just pull those 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull those 4 bolts off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 bolts, and then there's an electrical connection at the back there. On that one, you can see the red tab. You just slide that red tab back on there, and then push down. The other side was hard to see. That's not on that end, it's on the other end. Anyways, pull that red tab back, and right in the inside of that red tab where you pulled it back, there's a little push down. You push down on that and it comes right out. There's the connector right there. The connector on the other side. It came out fine. There's a smaller one right there. So the left side's got 2 connectors. One of them's probably feeding that fuel pump. The other feeds electrical to the injectors. And same on this side, you just got the injector connector there. Injector connector. Anyways, I'm going to move on with that and I'll be back. Okay. A few things about these. Taking these injectors off, they're kind of a bugger. There's one off there, there's one off there. These 2 are still on. So, clip. These retaining clips, I thought those at first, but I kind of figured out a quick way to get those off. When you take those off, literally just push a screwdriver on the back side of it there and pry out, and both sides of these pieces will release. They'll just pull off. So just pry from the back side out. Just pry that way and they'll pop right off. Once they're out, you got our usual little connectors here. I'm going to pop that red tab out. So that pops out, which allows you to press that guy right there. So you push down on that. And hold this. Maybe. Holding a camera at the same time is not easy. Okay, so once you push that tab down right there, these will just slide right off. Now you've just got the injector that's inside of there, and that's in there. As you can see, it's got a little washer and a gasket. Holds it in there pretty freaking tight, so it takes some effort. I use a screwdriver a little bit to wedge in between here. Kind of get it started. Kind of twist and turn from all sides until it starts to move. And once you get that maybe an eighth of an inch gap in between there, then you can grab a hold of it and pull, and it'll pop out. a little difficult. Take these off, save them, these rubber gaskets that go in the motor here. Put those on, slide them on the new ones, just like that. I'm saving those. So slide those on the new ones. That's a new one there. Those are the old ones. So just pulling them off. I have all 4 of these off here in a minute. Put the new ones on, hook them back up. And do the other side, the 1, 3, 5, 7 side. This is the 2, 4, 6, 8 side. This is bank 2. Bank 2, if you're looking at the front of the truck, is on your left. Bank 1 is on your right. So you'll have injectors will be 1, 3, 5, and 7. Over here will be 2, 4, 6, and 8. They said 2 and 3 for me, so it's going to be 2 here, very front one, 1 and 3, the second one in. So those 2 are the 2 they said were bad on mine. They're misfiring. Common problem in these trucks. Pretty sad when they've got stories of anywhere from 18,000 to 50,000 miles and they're having issues with injectors. So that's where we're at right now. Got my pillow laying across my truck because I bruised my chest up laying across this thing. It's not easy to reach in there. If you could drop the motor down and away from the truck, that'd be the easiest way, but I don't have a lift, so I gotta do it this way. Anyway, I'll be back. All right, here's rail with all new injectors on. Pretty straightforward. I'll show you how I did the second bank. I'll show you how I did all the inserting. All I really did, I can show you, put the new injectors in because they slide up inside of this housing here. It's solid metal with the hole is, it still has a gasket on it. So you see the rubber gasket, that's kind of rolled. Pulling it out rolls it, and there's a little split ring on there, spacer. So the new ones, I just got a little lid full of 530. Just dipped my finger in, rubbed it around the edge of the gasket there so it kind of lubes a little bit. And then when you go to slide that in, slide this in here, it slides right in real easy. Just slides right in. Pop the clip back on it, hit the connector back up. Pretty much done. All 4 of them done. That was the easiest part, was putting them in. That was nothing. Taking them out was a little bit of a fight. Now that I've done 4, I kind of have a method, and I'll show you what that is when I do the next bank. So stay tuned. Okay, right here. Back to these injectors. This is 1, 3, 5, and 7 bank, and I'm going to show you how to get these clips off. So the easiest way I found was to just get underneath and pry up. Like so. They start to come up just like that. Comes right off. And then this right here, these just pop out like that. Push down on the little connector. That comes off. And as far as the injector goes, I want to get some space in between that and the rail, so I just kind of pry around the outside like so. Get it like a nice gap in there like there. And just pull. Oh. There's gas in, by the way. As soon as you pull that off, the gas starts to release. So stop for a minute. So that first one's off. You can see that's where it seats inside of there, and that gasket on there. Right there. That's what holds it up inside there. It's kind of hard to get out. They go back in real easy. Again, take off these things here if you need them for your new ones. The new ones all laid out right there. Save those. Get rid of those. So we got 3 more to go, and I'll come back and show you how to seat them. Okay, here's the rail with all the injectors out. A little warm there. Burn mark. All right, so putting them back in is easy. So you just take a new injector,
Put these little seals back on them. Back on them. Go on the motor, kind of keeps it from debris getting inside the motor. You notice when you take them out of the motor too, there's a lot of dust and sand around that opening. It kind of worries me when you pull these out, nothing falls in the holes there. But anyway, so that goes on there. I've got this little cap here. Got some 30 weight oil in there, 530. I use any oil. I just kind of go around the edge, gasket a little bit, just to make it, just to lube it up a little bit. And just line it up, kind of turn it real soft. It slides right back in. So that's good. And as far as the clips go, I just line the clip up over the top. Push down on it. Try to at least get it started. I just grab a rubber mallet. Just smack it on there. You can see it's locked back on there. Injector's in place. The clip. Here, clip. Push the tab back in. That injector's done. Just repeat on all four of them. So there's one done, 3 left. And then have them all back in. So when I put them back in the engine, I do the same thing. I put a little oil around these gaskets here on all the new ones. And then when I go to push the engine, I start them all evenly, and then I start the bolts and just work my way on each bolt just a little bit at a time, and it slowly pulls it down into the motor and reseats the injectors. So we'll come back when I go to the engine. Okay, tank number 1 done. Basically 1, 3, 5, and 7 all done. This is the one that was misfiring. There's 2 on the other side, which would have been the first one on the left front, be number 2, because the other one goes 2, 4, 6, 8. This one's 1, 3, 5, 7. So they were saying 2 and 3 on mine were bad, so that would be this one here. I mark them. That's 1, just in case I have any problems. There's 7. There's 5. There's 3. That's the order those came out. There's 2 through 8. So I've got to just push these back in, the electrical connectors in, and start putting all this fun stuff back in. Can't wait. I'm sure it'll be a lot easier going back in now that I've taken it apart. It's not as bad. So there's number 2 through 8 seated, all ready to go. See, I just tightened those down. I got it started and just tightened them down bolts. Started from the middle, just worked my way out, and just kept going a half turn until they started to seat, and then I'd go a couple turns and each bolt until it seated all the way down nice and evenly. I didn't tweak any one down far because you don't want it to go into an angle and tweak one of those gaskets, so they go in pretty solid. So I'm pretty sure they'll seal nice. Get the fuel lines all hooked back up. Those all just thread on, so they should be fairly simple. That one's a quick disconnect. I'll get that one hooked back up as soon as I get that rail in there, and then we get all these other connectors off the truck here. All reconnected. Should be good to go. Not too bad. It's just getting back under there with some of those bolts initially to get that manifold off was kind of a bugger, but not impossible. You just got to end up with the right size. Right size for me was this smaller 3/8 drive, because that extension was just perfect to get up underneath that lip. The bigger ones, because the tools and the sockets tend to be wider and the head of the ratchet seems to be wider, I was about 1/4 inch too tall. This one brings it down to a size it's just perfect to get underneath that, and this is probably looks like a 5 or 6 inch extension there, but small tools. So alright, well, I'm going to get that one remounted and we'll be back. Okay, got everything hooked back up, as you can see. Let me pull this out. Oh, let's pull out mostly. So there's all the fuel rails back in. I've got the plumbing hook back up in the middle there. It's really easy, just torque it down. Okay, got the manifold back in. That was fun. So you've got a screw hole there, and there, one there, one there, and one up front. You see it down there, the bolt. You got one there, 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 and then all the way to the back. You can get that extension back there. You can get it. And tighten that one. I kind of went from the middle out, like on an engine block. Staggered it and tightened it down that way so it snugs up nice and even. Hooked all the connections back up. This one, this one. There's another electrical, smaller one. It's underneath that one. It's back behind this one here. There's three right here. 1, 2, 3. And I've got that one there, which is the vacuum line. Got to hook all these back to the manifold. Hook those ones back up on this side so they're all back where they go. Put the air cleaner back on. Should be in business. I'll be back.